Okay, so we are going to do the medium Sudoku. So, hello, anyone on YouTube. Um, I am going to do today's, I don't know why I just stopped that. I'm not really interested in the timer, but I'm going to do the medium New York Times Sudoku for today on May the 8th, 2021. And I'm going to use my normal technique to solving Sudokus, using what's called a Schneider Notation technique with a bit of like deviation. I think the foundation is the Schneider notations, but you should by all means add pencil markings that are helpful to you as you go along. So yeah, something to think about. New York Times Sudoku doesn't offer two types of pencil markings as well. Sudoku apps like Sudoku Exchange, which is the one my go-to Sudoku app, web app, is free, and you can do both center and corner pencil markings. And when you get into the more advanced Sudokus, those are really useful because you can essentially like do pencil marking that says no other numbers can go in this cell. So then when you scan, you know what you're looking at. Or you do corner markings for like typically Schneider notations to kind of like say these are some of the possibilities of the candidates. So anyway, how are you, Rose? Should we carry on a conversation about Doki Doki Literature Club here? Because I saw you messaged me. Let me have a look. I know, didn't I have a conversation with you about how much I identify with? Oh, so you've already... That means you can play as Sayori. Because it's literally Sayori and myself. Well, I say myself, the male version of myself. The narrator, or the playable character that I am playing with at the moment. And it's a bit weird because I did a really emotionally intense scene playing both characters, and it was just, it was horrible. So if you want to, it would be fantastic if you would like to join us. But the timing may not work for you because at the moment we're planning on doing it tomorrow on Sunday. But we're doing it evening time in the UK because of other people's availabilities. But we're going to like plan other ones in the future as well. So I don't know if it works out. But for now, let's get into this medium New York Times Sudoku with Schneider notation. So the principle of Schneider notation is that we're going to pencil mark in the numbers in each of the cages. But what we're going to do is we're only going to pencil mark in two candidates for each number. So, for example, if we look at this cage and we look at the ones, they can be in these two places. So a bit of tips on New York Times Sudoku, you can switch between normal and candidate. Candidates are what we call pencil markings in the industry, in the Sudoku streaming video industry. But yeah, the candidates are basically saying that in this cell can be a 1. It can be other numbers as well, but 1 is one of the candidates in these two cells. But also, we decide to pencil mark in just the ones in this case, because these are the only two cells that can be ones. Basically, none of the other cells can be because the ones oversee those cells. Oh, by the way, for a bit more basic explanation for Sudokus, you're not allowed to have repeating digits on the rows, on the columns, and in the blocks. I'm going to start calling them blocks rather than cages. So the blocks are a block of 9 cells. So inside each of the blocks, you have to have all the numbers from 1 to 9, so they're non-repeating. So that's how we can deduce that there can't be any more 1s on this row, there can't be any more 1s on this row, there can't be any more 1s on this column. So the only places for the 1 to go in this block are these two places. And since there are two possible candidates, we pencil mark it in. So using the same logic, we're not going to pencil mark in this block because I've got 3 possible places for the 1. So under Schneider notations, we generally don't do that. There are exceptions to the rule that I use, but there are purists out there who would not pencil mark in anything beyond that. But I think the point of Schneider notation is to help you. So if pencil marking more numbers will assist you, you should do that. So I had a quick scan, and I don't think I can pencil mark in. Oh yes, I can. I can pencil mark in the 2s in this block as well, because 2s are taking up rows 1 and 2, and I've got column 5 taken up as well. So columns, I read from left to right: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's column 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And rows, I think it's obvious that I'm going to go from top down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the 2s can be penciled there, and I think that's all the places that I can pencil mark in the 2s. Oh no, I lied again. There's also a pair of 2s that I can pencil mark in here, because I've got columns 1 and 3 taken, and row 8 taken as well. But surely that's it. So I've got 3 possible places for the 2 here, 3 possible places, 4 possible places. So we're not going to pencil mark those in. So that's the principle of what we're going to do. So let's continue doing pencil markings using those rules. So we're going to pencil mark in the 3s, because these 2 columns are taken, leaving me 2 possibilities in this block. And I think that's it. So we're going to get a little bit advanced now, straight away. So if you look in this block, what we notice is that when we look at the 3s, well, the 3 covers these 3 cells. That means the 3s have to be on row 9 in that block. And when that happens, it basically means the 3s, there has to be a 3 in one of these 3 cells. So effectively, outside of this block, the 3 cannot be on row 9 anymore. So one way we can do is, if it helps you, pencil mark it in. So you can pencil mark in the triple. Some people do that. They pencil mark in numbers where the 3 candidates that are lined it up. We call this a pointing set. So this is a pointing triple. But the ones, for instance, or the 2s, we would call them pointing pairs, although they don't actually point anywhere, because the 2s and the 1s are already solved in the adjacent blocks. But the 3s are useful, because these pointing 3s basically means the 3s can't be in these 3 cells. That 3 covers these 3 cells, and I've got a 3 covering column 3. So we do actually have the ability to pencil mark in the 3 in this block, because there are only 2 candidates left. I personally wouldn't pencil mark in the 3s here, just to keep the grid clean. But since we're going for kind of like more beginner video, friendly video, I'm going to leave the 3s in to explain the pointing logic. And I don't think it's like disadvantage to pencil marking the 3s in a set of 3s, but there's a reason we keep pencil markings to a minimal, and I'm sure we're gonna have an opportunity to explain that later. For now, we're gonna move on and look at a 4. So we've got 4s, locking the 4s in those 2 cells. I don't think there are more I can do with the 4, so I'm going to move on to the 5s. They go up here. These 2 5s locks a pair of 5s up here. These 2 5s. Now we can now explain how Schneider notation benefits us. So this has to be a 5, because that's the only cell on this column that a 5 can go. The 5s can't go here, because there are 5s in those blocks already. So the 5 must go here. Another way of looking at it is scanning down. The 5s in this block are ruled out from these 2 cells, ruled out from these 2 cells. So this is the only place the 5 can go. So when I put in the 5, well, there was already a 4 in place. So by placing the 5, I've eliminated one of the candidates, one of the 4 candidates. So that means, since we only pencil marking 2 candidates at a time, if I eliminate one of them, that means I know the final location of that number within the block, basically. So that means there has to be a 4. I've already done the work. I know that 4 could only be in these 2 cells, but by placing the 5, I've eliminated one of the 4s, and I can place the other 4. So that is basically how we roll with Schneider notation. So that's why we also keep it in 2s. Whereas if we've got 3 candidates, the problem is when we put a number in, we don't immediately reveal a final solution for that number within that block. So since we placed the 5, we're going to continue with the 5s. So we've got 2 5s there and a 5 on that column. So 5s have to be in these 2 cells. Anywhere else the 5 can go, yes. this 5 and that 5 locks a pair of 5s here. So now they're a pointing pair of 5s. I typically call them pointed pairs, but they are pointing because they're still pointing for us. They're still useful. So they're pointing leftwards on this row, eliminating 5s from these cells, and that 5 eliminates this cell as a 5. So that leaves us 2 possible candidates, but this 5 eliminates one of the 2 candidates. So there's only one place for the 5 to go, and it goes here. And now that we place the 5, if we scan down here, we'll see it looks at another 5 candidate. So we can eliminate it. And again, Schneider notation, when you eliminate a candidate, you've got a final number, basically, a confirmed number, as I called it. Just going to blow my nose, so 1 second, please. And I'm back. And so, yeah, we've got all the 5s covered because we've only got 5s as candidates in these 2 blocks. And we can move on to the 6s. So 6s are locked in these 2 cells. And I don't think they're locked anywhere else that is useful for us in Schneider notations. So we're going to move on to the 7s. So 7 is on its own. There's only a single 7. So I'm just going to do a quick scan on the row and the column, and it should tell me if there are any pencil markings that I can place, and I can't. There is an additional trick that I use when I see a solo digit, but in this instance, I'm not convinced that we're going to get anything with it. Also, I'm getting, like, my ear is blocked, and I don't like it. Actually, there is something here. There's a naked single here. So this is a semi-advanced technique that I use. I usually use it when I've finished doing all the Schneider notation pencil markings. But recently, to try and speed things up, I've started looking at it as well. So when you have a solo digit, there's a bit of logic that I use, and it's based on probabilities, basically. If I pick on any cells that a 7 can't see, oh, actually, before I do, I need to explain the concept of a naked single. So naked single works by the concept of you pick any cell and you look at all the numbers that it sees. In fact, I wonder if there's a naked single. No, there isn't. I'll just do it. I'll just show you the naked single. So pretend that we're going to pencil mark in all the numbers. So if put the candidates 1 to 9 in this cage, in this cell. So what we're going to do is we're going to strip it naked. Not very fun with numbers, but if that's your kink, that's your kink. And what we mean by stripping is we're going to look around in both the row, the column, and the block to see if we can see any of the numbers. Any numbers that we see, we strip it away from the candidates. So we see a 1 right next to it. So within the same block and the same row, we strip the 1. We see a 2 on the column down here. So we strip it. We see a 3, we strip it. We see a 4, we strip it. See a 5, strip it. See a 6, we strip it. See a 7, we strip it. See an 8, we strip it. So now there's only a single number left. We stripped it naked, and we're left with a 9. So that's why we called it. Oh, thank you for the raid, Brohan. Thank you. How are you? How was? Let's give you a shout out. Brohan0. How was today's crosswords? Because I did see you doing a crossword when I woke up, and but I had to do my morning Sudoku, so I could have actually raided you the other way around, but I didn't today. So, how's everyone? Hello, raiders. I'm Alexia, not Alexa, so I go by she pronouns, and I typically do a Sudoku video every day. I'm not good at crosswords, but I've been thinking about doing more crosswords because I guess I kind of like it when I can solve a crossword, but I always need help if I do the New York Times crosswords. But I saw that Brohan, for instance, uses, is it called Down in a Cross or downacross.com? And, oh, with a vowel-less crossword. Whoa, that is crazy. I have to watch your VOD to see that. A vowelless crossword. That is bonkers. Um, down foot across. That's it. And I know you can do what do you call it? Collaborations. So I'm very interested in that. So I think I'm gonna try that. So thank you for introducing me to down foot across. Hi Sleepy On and hi Star. No, I think Star is the one who's lying. I'm definitely not good at crosswords. Um, I may appear good at crosswords when I spot certain answers when other people do it, basically. Um, but without other people filling in the letters already on important clues, I don't tend to be able to do that. But Sudoku is my jam. I'm planning on doing more of kind of like variant Sudokus, so Sudokus with different logics, basically. So Puzzling Old Man introduced me to the concept of chain Sudokus that I really am interested in, so I really want to do that. But I'm going to continue doing all the daily New York Times Sudokus. Right now, I'm doing a medium New York Times Sudoku. I'm doing a special video for my YouTube channel to kind of like explain more basic techniques. I've done today's hard. Today's hard Sudoku is quite good, actually. It's not too hard. There's a single hidden pair that solves it. But I think I've been doing just hard Sudokus recently because of time. So kind of worry that I'm not helping those who are starting out with Sudokus. So yeah, let's carry on. Oh, Puzzling Old Man, love that fellow. He was, but I don't know if he had to pop out because I know he's on Australian times. So yeah, I think he's popped out. So, but yeah, he is definitely one to watch. So let's give Puzzling Old Man a shout out as well. So if you haven't, I think to be fair, most of us probably know Puzzling Old Man already because I recognize the. Well, I was going to say I recognize the face. I recognize the name, Sleepy On Star. We all. Oh no, hold on. Do we hang out with Puzzling Old Man? I'm sure we do. I'm sure we do. Does very fun streams. Exactly, very hard puzzles. And yesterday they were doing this like I think it's like this 2016 puzzle that is a set. Oh yeah, because sorry I missed your message, your whisper yesterday, Star, as well. So I do know that you follow Puzzling Old Man as well. But yeah, the puzzle they did yesterday, it's like a set of puzzles made in 2016 or something. Apparently it's award-winning because I googled it and yeah, that's interesting. Definitely too hard for me. So it's really good that he like tackle a variety of puzzles that are really hard and interesting, basically with completely new rules. Where Sudoku, I can get in the comfort zone and just like go at it. There's always a solution. There's always something I can do to solve it. But yeah. So I'm going to get back to the medium Sudokus. Oh, and also, Raiders, again, I think you guys know me anyway because I recognize your names and faces. Not faces, your names. I've been doing Dark Souls 3 recently, and I'm doing a channel challenge thing to do to play Sekiro Shadows Die twice. I did play it on my own before I was able to stream, basically, and I got too stressed out, basically. But I think if I were to stream it, I'll feel probably, if I stream it, I think I'll have more fun with it, having people around. So that's my plan, basically. So, but I'm not optimistic I'm not like desperate for doing it. So I kind of figure I'll just kind of let you guys decide if I'm going to do it or not. So, okay. Going to make a marker because may have to see if I can trim the video. No, I don't think I can trim the video on YouTube. So, so apologies. I'm hopefully going to leave a timestamp below to skip forward, basically, of all my Raiders introductions. So, moving on to the what do we call this? Medium Sudoku. That's it. I was talking about a naked single before, so we've stripped this down to a 9. So this is what we mean by a naked single is basically when we have all the candidates and we basically find everything. So we see a 1, see a 2, see a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So it's a naked 9. But I actually spotted a naked single because of the 7, because I was trying to explain this probability-based technique that I use. Usually after I've exhausted my basic Schneider notation approach. If we pick any cells, what are the probabilities of it being a naked single? Well, if it doesn't see a 7, we immediately, since 7 is on its own, we already know there's at least a 7 in any of the cells that doesn't see a 7. So it still has a normal probability of being a naked single or not. But by adding a 7 to it, we're reducing the probability that it'll be naked. So if the cells that can't see a 7 has an increased probability of not being a naked single, that basically means every cell that sees the 7 has an increased probability, because we can basically divide the puzzle up into cells that the 7 sees and the cells that the 7 doesn't see. And if I'm increasing the probability of 7's cells, one group of cells, the ones that can't see the 7, as not being naked singles, that by logic means the cells that sees the 7 has an increased probability of being naked. So that's why it's worth having a look around the row, the column, and the block to see if there are any naked singles. So by scanning here, this row has 5 numbers and that column has 4 numbers. So it has the highest probability of all the cells that the 7 sees. This has 3 on the column, 3 on the column, 4 on the row, 4 on the column, so that's 8 numbers. But this one has 5 and 4, so it sees 9 numbers. So again, it's about probability, and it just so happens that it ended up giving us a naked 9. Other things to look at, maybe look at here, but very skeptical that's going to be naked. But I can see 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can't see an 8, but I can see a 9. So this is a 3 and an 8. So it's not a naked single. But yeah, I think I'm quite happy that I saw the 9 as a naked single. So with that, we're going to move on to the 8 and continue on doing our Schneider notations. So can we pencil mark in any more 8s? No, we can't, because there are 3 candidates, 5 candidates, 3 candidates, 3 candidates. So it's not really useful for us to pencil mark them in just yet. So we're going to move on to the 9s and pencil mark them in here. Got 2 9s blocking the row and the 9 blocking the column. 9s are down here. I don't think we can pencil mark in any more 9s. So we've done our first scan, first round of Schneider notations. It's time to reevaluate our life choices, to think, how did we get here today? What did we do to lead us down the path that we are here, sipping water, talking to the internet? And then we're going to move on and try some other techniques that may be more fun. We can do a second scan. We can scan the rows and the columns again, and we will probably find some new numbers. For example, if we scan the 1s, we'll see there's a 1 here. But that's boring. Boring going that way because, I don't know, I just like to do fun things. So I'm going to jump straight to pretending that we've exhausted all our scans. Let's say we've done all the scannings. What will we do next? So if we've done all the scannings and we haven't placed all the numbers yet, another thing you can try is starting to look at the row and the columns and the blocks that have less numbers basically available, less empty cells available for you. And by empty, I just mean they're not populate, they're not confirmed, unconfirmed numbers basically. So even cells with candidates are worth looking at. So for example, in this block, we've only got 3 numbers left. So that's pretty good. We call it a weak area. So this block is a weak area. We can look at rows. This row is another weak area. It's got 3 cells left. So, and depending on your skill level and how much you can observe, you may want to start off by looking at just anything with 3 or less cells. But when you get more accustomed to it, you may start scanning rows and columns with 4 cells left. So I've got 4 on this column, 4 in this row, 4 in this cage, and you can start scanning those as well. Sometimes you have to, but to start with the the fewer cells basically. So so as an example, if I looked at this block, I would see that the 1 I'm missing. Oh yeah, so the way you look at it is you look at what numbers I'm missing. So I'm missing 1, 7, and 9. I know 7 is missing because 7 is a weak number. A weak number, by definition, by my definition anyway, is numbers that occurs sparingly on the grid. Basically, there are not many of them, so they're weak. A strong number would occur a lot. So the 5 is very strong, but strong numbers quite often aren't actually that useful. They're useful with Schneider notations when you just like blast them out basically, but they tend to leave you with kind of a deadlock of set of candidates that you can't do anything with, and you have to wait till other numbers are solved to pick them up basically. So, but weak areas in this case, got a 1, got a 7, and got a 9. One of the numbers weak, and the 1 oversees these 2 cells, so we know the 1 goes here. That leaves me 7 and 9 in these 2 cells. Well, we say that candidate-wise, if we have 2 candidates left in a block, we pencil mark them in. So we pencil mark in the 7 and the 9s. And that introduces us to a new concept, which is, I'll say intermediate, and they're called matching pairs. So another thing we can do is we can, well actually no, we won't do it within the block. We'll do it on the column basically. So we've got 7 and 9 locked in these 2 cells. So basically on this column, there are only 2 places that the 7 and the 9 can go. They can't go anywhere else now, because if there's a 7 out there, then I've got 9 in 2 cells basically. The 7 can't go in either of the cells here. So 7 and 9 can't go outside of these 2 cells. In this instance, it's within a block, but even if, let's say for example, you've got 7 and 9, in these 2 cells, that the rule still applies. That means the 7 and 9s are locked in those 2 cells on the column, not necessarily within the blocks or the rows, but within the column. There can't be any more 7s and 9s. And the other flipped piece of logic is that no other numbers can go in them anymore. So even if I didn't find these numbers, if I found a 7 and a 9, that automatically means no other numbers can go in them, because if they do, if there's a 1 in here, then 7 and 9 will have to fight for a single cell, and that just doesn't work in Sudoku. So that is the logic of matching pairs basically. No other numbers can go in them, and if you find a matching pair on a dimension, so on a column here, but also in a block or row, if you find them, that means no other numbers can go in them and they can't go anywhere else. And what that means is we actually have another weak area on this column. We've only got 3 cells left for play. And also the other thing we can do is we can eliminate this 9 now, because these 9s are pointing upwards. And we can also pencil mark in the 7s here as well, which forms a 7-6 pair, but because of the 7s. But the thing I wanted to get at, let's put the 9 in now. The thing I want to get at is that we now have a weak area of 3 cells, and they have to be 3, 4, and 6. 3, 4, and 6. No, 2, 3, and 6. Sorry, I don't know where I got the 4 from. 2, 3, and 6 are the only numbers available in these 3 cells. So what we would do is have a look around. Well, we can see a 2 in this cell, so it can be both a 3 or a 6. Here we can have 2, 3, and 6. Here we can't have a 3, but we also can't have a 6 because of the matching pair of 6 and 7s. That means within the block, 6s can't go elsewhere, can't go outside. And, oh, hang on a sec. What am I talking about? It's not 2, 3, and 6. I've got a 6 on the column, so sorry. I do that quite often. I make that kind of mistake quite often. It's actually 2, 3, and 8. So sorry about that. So 2, 3, and 8 on this in these 3 cells. Ignore what I just said about 2, 4, 6 or 2, 3, and 6. It's 2, 3, and 8. This is why I'm not a good Sudoku player, basically, because I make those kind of silly mistakes, silly blunders. But sometimes I realize, hang on a sec, I've got 6 right here. What's going on? What am I talking about? But unfortunately, we can't disambiguate the 2, 3, and 8. I'm using the word disambiguate because cracking the cryptic It's a YouTube channel that you should follow if you want to learn more about Sudokus. But they're doing more advanced Sudokus nowadays, so may not be so useful right now. I've actually stopped watching them because they're doing like pure variant Sudokus nowadays, which I think is really great for, you know, the big Sudoku community. But I'm kind of more interested in standard Sudokus for now, at least for the content that I make. Anyway, so we can't solve the resolve the 2, 3, and 8. What we can do is look at this block. We've only got 2 cells left because 6 and 7s are taking up these 2 as a matching pair. That means these have to be 2s or 8s. So you check the back catalog. Yes, the back catalog, if you look at their kind of like earlier videos before they exploded during COVID, I think COVID has led to a lot of people doing Sudokus, myself included, because I did Sudoku a bit when I was young, like when I was half my age right now. I did some Sudokus, and then 20 years later, it's kind of thing. I want to do something for my brains, so what can I do? And something triggered me to have a play with Sudokus, and here I am a year later doing daily Sudoku videos, becoming a streamer because of Sudokus. Because if not for Sudoku, I wouldn't be streaming at all. I started streaming because I was just uploading Sudoku videos onto YouTube, and then I kind of realized it was easier for me to stream to Twitch first and then upload it onto YouTube. It's silly, I know. It's bonkers. Anyway, let's get on with it. Oh, pardon me. Sorry about that. Got something stuck in my throat, and it was disgusting, and I had to clear my throat. Okie doke. So moving on, what else can we do? We're going to continue looking at the weak area. So here we've got 2, 8, and 4, I believe. Can we do anything with that? No, we can't. So basically, I'll be looking on the columns along this row. First of all, I look at a row and I see what's missing. I can see 2, 4, and 8 are missing. I see a 2 here, but I can't see the 4 or the 8 on the column or the block. Here we know that has to be a 2 and 8 because of the block. And then 2, 4, and 8 on this column. Can't see anything at all. So no dice there. So I think I've exhausted all the... Oh no, here. Oh, this is beautiful. So whenever you have a row or column where the only remaining numbers are within the same block, you should drink to yourself. You should salute yourself. Because you basically found yourself either a triple or a pair or a number, basically. So imagine if these 2 cells were populated, then you have yourself a number. But right now we've got a triple locked in these 3 cells because on the row there are only 3 numbers left, and they are 3, 7, and 9. And in fact, if these are... Hold on, I'm going to pencil mark them in first. These have to be 3, 7, and 9. Oops. Those are the only numbers remaining on the row. But if we scan upwards, we can see the 9s overseeing these 2 cells. So they can't be 9s. So the 9 has to go here. And what did that do for us? Well, I just eliminated one of the 3 candidates. So that gives us the 3. And thus giving us our first 7. Well, technically the second, but the first one that we populated. So, yeah. Always check out if you see any rows or columns where the only remaining cells are within the same block. Always have a look. It's something that I'm quite bad at looking at because if you've seen my hard Sudoku, I had a solo number left on the bottom row and I missed it. So, but Puzzling Old Man came in and just pointed me in the right direction. So with that, instantly we filled in 3 numbers within this block. But even if we didn't, even if we didn't identify where these numbers go, it immediately blocks these three numbers from anything else, basically. So pretend that we haven't figured out the 3, 7, and 9. We can continue scanning this block and think, or actually, we haven't got any examples. I suppose the 8. The 8 can't go in these two cells, but it also can't go in these cells either by default logic. So you know the 8's are up here. The 2's, 3 is part of it, 4. The 4's up here as well, so 4 and 8 are up there. And just so happens that there's nothing else that we can get from this triple, but sometimes those triples are really powerful and they will unlock the puzzle for you, basically. I don't think we have any more weak areas that are solely in triples. And since we are doing a medium difficulty puzzle, I'm not going to get into the advanced level, basically. But I think if I had looked at this one earlier, I would have spotted that I've actually got 1 resolved thanks to the elimination of one of the 1 candidates in this block. And that goes to show it is worth doing additional scans first to exhaust all the kind of like cleaning up that you would do with the candidates. So yeah, let's do a second scan now. Let's say we haven't got any more development, and yeah, I'm pretty sure we haven't got any more development. We don't have any more triples. So we're going to do a second scan. So we're going to go from 1 to 9 again. You can go backwards from 9 to 1. You can go random numbers, whatever one you see first. But it's good to have a system. It's good to be kind of like structured in your way of scanning so you don't miss things. So I can see a 3 up there because of these 2 3s blocking all of these cells. And that 3 eliminates a candidate from this block, which places the 3, which eliminates a 2, which unlocks the 2, which eliminates this 2, giving us an 8 and a 2 over there. Because if that, since it's a matching pair, whenever you eliminate one of the candidates, it unlocks the pair of cells, basically. So as you go on, you will get quicker in spotting those. This 2, along with that 2, unlocks a 2 over there. So I'm just following the 2s. Every new 2 that I get, I'm going to follow it to see if I can get more things done. And I got the final set of 2s pencil marked in. So just like the 5s, I've only got a rectangle set of 2s left. We also placed an 8 earlier. So can we do anything with the 8? We can place an 8 up here because of these 2 8s. And this 8 gives me a pointer pair of 8s there because of this row and that column being blocked, leaving me 2 candidates, which means these are 8s now because this is a pointer pair of 8s blocking these 2 cells. Can we do more with the 8s? I think we are done with the 8s. Okay, what about the 9 that we placed? Nope, there's nothing going on with the 9s that I can see. I do have a pair of 9s over here though, so I'm going to pencil mark those in. But I should move back to, I think the 3s was what I was looking at originally. So just rewinding back to what I was doing, which was the 3s. So the 2 3s here locks a pair of 3s over there. This 3 effectively locks a pointing set of 3s. So again, since I'm doing it, doing a medium puzzle, I'm trying to explain the logic, I'm going to pencil mark those in. But normally, I will leave these alone. And the reason I will leave them alone is, imagine if you're doing this on pen and paper, the more candidates you put in, the more difficult it is to kind of like figure out what you're looking at. On apps or web apps, it's quite easy to, you can erase pencil markings. In real life, you need to get an eraser to do that, and it's a bit rubbish, basically. I've been using, oh, can't even find the pencil now. Been using a pencil with a crappy eraser at the end to do this 12 Sudoku, 12 number Sudoku, and it's not fun. The erasers tend to rub the paper the wrong way, and that's not a good time for anyone. So let's move on to the 4s, because I think we've done all the 3s now. So can we do anything with the 4s? We have a pair of 4s up here, and in fact, now on this column we've only got 6 and 7 left. But that's not actually that useful for us. So we're going to carry on. 4 for 4. Well, there's a pointing 4 here, but also on this row, we've actually only got one number left. So that has to be a 4 anyway. And the 4s are down here as well. So, can I do much with that? We have another pair of 4s over here. Because it is 4 and that 4. And I think that's all I can do with the 4s now. The 5s, we've kind of done all the pencil markings that we can. 6. I'm just trying to see if there are more like interesting techniques that we can use. But I may not want to bombard you guys with too much. I've not actually checked this puzzle beforehand to see the quality, if it's suitable for this kind of video. But we're committed now. We're kind of like dove head first. Or dived head first. Is it dived or dove? I don't know. Leave a comment below if you know. And we've done our second scan. So when do you know you should do another scan would be potentially a good question. It's a question I'm going to answer anyway. And the answer is, as long as you've placed numbers during your last scan, it's worth doing a follow-up scan basically, because the nature of the grid has changed. When you add numbers, places get blocked and new information may reveal itself. By placing a 9, you may reveal something about the 3s. So it's worth doing like a follow-up scan basically. But let's say the last number that you place is a 5, and then what I would do is scan from 1 to 4 basically. Let's say when you're scanning the last round, and whilst you're scanning the 5s, you manage to place some 5s, and then you carry on scanning. Well, you've done 6 to 9. Well, you've done 5 to 9 in that case, and you didn't find anything. So you only need to go up from 1 to 4 basically. So you don't have to do 1 to 9 again if the last number you place is a 5. But sometimes it's hard to remember what the last number is. So you just carry on basically. But again, we're going to try and explore the weak areas and see if we can find anything, because we have a triple here. And I think that's the only triple that we've got actually. That's another triple, but that's not going to give us anything. That's a pair of 7 and 6s. So let's have a look at this triple and see if we can find anything. So we know we're missing a 7, and that's already good news because 7 blocks these two cells already. So we can actually solve the 7 on this column. What other numbers am I missing? I'm missing 8, 6 and 8. Well, that's great news because an 8 oversees this cell. So the 8 must be here, therefore the 6 must be down there. So let's do some more scanning. This 7 breaks the 6 and the 7 in this cage, and now this 7, just to follow up with the numbers, that 7 gives me another 7, and that's the dead end. I can't see anything else with the 7, so I'm going to rewind back to the 6. This 6 gives me a 6 over here because it blocks these two cells. This 6 blocks a pair of 6s over here, and that's a dead end. I can't see any more 6s. I've got a pair of 6s in this cage, but it doesn't help me much. So I'm going to rewind back to the 6 and 7s, and I broke the 6 and 7 because of this 7. So can I do more of this 7? Well, I can see some 7s up here. Looking across, can't see anything else. So let's move on to the 8. Can't see any 8s over there. What about the 6? 6s. I've done the 6s, so... Oh, hi, Dinosaur. Hi, Cutie Pie. How are you? This 6 doesn't do anything else. So I am going to look at the 8 again, because if we now look at this block, we've only got 2 cells left. So they're also pointed. So it's a matching pair, and they're pointed. That is great news. And they are 8s and 1s and 8s. So let's pencil mark those in. And with those 1s and 8 placed, that forms a triple over here. So that's another triple that is within a block, basically. That means, I mean, we already had another triple on this row anyway. So the 1s and 8 unlocks the 8 over here, which gives us an 8. Now I've erased the 3, but this is where, by not following Schneider notation strictly, eliminating a candidate didn't automatically give us a number, basically. But before I move on, there's a really interesting thing happening right now, and I want to talk about it. If we look at the candidates, the 3 candidates in these 2 cages, they're only available in columns 8 and 9. So what does that mean? Well, that means on column 8, the 3 has to be one of these 2 blocks. In column 9, it has to be one of these 2 blocks. But we've got 3 blocks. So on the final block, the 3 cannot be in columns 8 or 9. That means the 3 has to be on column 7, because 3s can't be in column 7 on either of these 2 cages. That's another way of looking at it, basically. So that's one way of explaining what I'm about to do next, which is placing the 3 here, or eliminating these 2 3s. The other logic is we should have ourselves an X-wing of 3s. So whenever you see a rectangle of 4 numbers, 4 of the same numbers, that's called an X-wing. So in this case, they are horizontal X-wings, because horizontally, we've only got 3s in these 2 places. We've already got the 3s in these, so we can't have 3s in any of these cells on the rows that these 3s occupied. And what that means is, wherever the 3 goes here, the 3 must go in the other cell within the rectangle. So that's why they're called an X-wing, because the 3s must be in an X formation. They can either be here in these 2 cells or these 2 cells. There's no other formation possible within these 2 blocks, basically. Or these 2 blocks. What that means is, whatever happens, on these 2 columns, we can't have any more 3s. So that's the X-wing logic. That if the 3 goes here, that must go there. If the 3 goes here, it must go there. Therefore, there can't be any more 3s on columns 8 and 9. So that is the X-wing logic to get rid of those 3s, basically. Sometimes I expand on that. I like to think of them as the rows and columns, because let's say, for argument's sake, these are the possible positions for the 3s. Well, it's not an X-wing, but the logic still applies that the 3s cannot go in column 7. The 3s are locked down in columns 8 and 9 within these 2 blocks. So therefore, there still can't be any more 3s within those 2 columns. So I like to think of the columns or the rows. It can be horizontal. I like to look at like the restrictions of the 3s by their columns or the rows to see whether I can eliminate anything else. So even if it's not X-wings, even if I've got, say, this kind of formation, I will automatically eliminate these 3s, because the logic still applies even when it's not an X-wing. So hopefully that makes sense. Leave a comment below if this video is helpful at all. I hope it is. But I've just resolved another 3 over here. So what else can we do? Well, we can look at this triple. This is a 4, 5, 9 triple, because I've got 1 and 8. So effectively, these 2 cells are out of play. They can only be 1 and 8. So within these 6 cells, I've got 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, and 8. That means I've got 4, 5, and 9. And that's great news, because that means this has to be a 5. Because 4 and 9 can't go there. I've got 9, I've got 4. I've already done the work. By not pencil marking in the 4 and the 9, I know this has to be a 5. So I can eliminate this 5. So let's follow the 5s. 5 eliminates that candidate, giving me another 5 there. This 5, that is the last 5. We finished the 5s now. Hello, Dinosaur Gummy Bear's cat. I've forgotten the name. I think you might have told me their name before, so apologies if I've forgotten. On this row, we've got 1 and 3 left. And in the same block, that's great. But also we've got 1 up here. So this is a 3, this is a 1. So let's follow the 1s. 1's blocking these columns, so the 1 must be here. And this one, if we follow over here, blocks these 2 cells, so the 1 must be down here. And it unlocks the 8 and the 1, because the 1 is pushed over here. And I think it's already, that's sort of 1's done. That gives me a pair of 8s up here. And also, these 2 cells has to be 2 and 4, 2 or 4. But I know this can't be a 2, because I didn't pencil mark them in. As long as my pencil markings are correct, then I can safely say the 2 can't go there. So there's only 1 place for the 2, 1 place for the 4. So I can pencil mark those in. That 4 gives me a pair of 4s up there. This 2 eliminates this 2, giving me a 2 over there. Sorry if I'm rushing a little bit now, because I am conscious that this video is exceedingly long already. So yeah, I'm just trying to like be a little bit quicker about it. On this column, we've only got one number left, and it is a 6. So with that 6, we break the 4-6 pair, and this 4 breaks the 4-7 pair, and this 7 tells me the 7s are in these two cells. Anything else we can do? Oh, surprisingly, no. The 6 and 8 are not disambiguable just yet. So let's carry on. What more can we do? We've got a 7-9 pair here, and we've got 3 numbers left, which are 7, 9, and 6. Well, 6 can't go here, and 6 can't go there, so 6 automatically goes in this cell, which means these are 7s and 9s. Oops. Let's pencil mark those in as well. We're not actually solving this puzzle just yet. Shocking. Shocking. What am I missing? Okay, so on this row, we actually have a 6 here breaking the 6 and the 8. So ignore what I said earlier that I can't break it, because I could have done. And when I say break, I mean just breaking a pair open and placing the number, basically. Just the kind of like random terminologies that I decided to use. But now it's pretty safe to mop up the remaining numbers. And we've solved the medium New York Times Sudoku in 51 minutes. Granted, a lot of talking involved, but I hope that is kind of like a nice introduction to how to do Sudokus. Please leave a comment below. Let me know if it's useful. I would like to, if it's still too difficult, I can kind of do more explanation, maybe even on an easy puzzle. But if there are other techniques that you want me to look at, please by all means ask me. If you see me doing something in the hard puzzles and you don't understand my logic, leave a comment in my hard puzzles, and I can do something to try and demonstrate it, I guess. Although it may be quite hard to demonstrate a technique without being able to use that technique in advance. So, but yeah, thank you for watching, and yeah, smash the like and hit the subscribe and smash the comment button below, and I shall see you tomorrow with more New York Times hard Sudoku.